cross? The top of the hour went already? Well, you need to cross. Why you have a countdown going on? To all of our viewers on Synergy TV, all of our viewers on the Caribbean Showtime Television in Canada, all of our listeners on U975 FM Multicultural Radio, a very warm welcome to another edition of the program Conversations with Zelisa. I am Zelisa Rupani, humbly inviting you to sit back, relax, enjoy, absorb, have your pen, have your paper, have your phone so you could take numbers, you could take notes. That will be helpful for you and your loved ones. Directing this morning and in Master Control, Hisham Costello. On behalf of the team, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a wonderful day today. It's Thursday, the 25th of May, 2023. It is a day and time we'll never have the opportunity to have again, all right? Don't procrastinate. Do something constructive and something productive with your day and with your time. Let's quickly go to our quote for today. And this, of course, is coming to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. And it says, push yourself, no one else is going to do it for you. That's right. Set a goal and work towards it. Push yourself. You've got to do it for yourself. Don't depend or expect anyone to do it for you, all right? That came to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. Remember to check them out today. The flea market, it's open until the 30th of May. Take advantage of all of their specials. Not forgetting the food court and all the other goodies, all right? Let's say good morning and a very warm welcome to Pastor Dr. Clive Dotton.
Oh, good morning, my dear. It is a pleasure. It has been a good while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's always
but
nice.
But there's no place like home, huh?
No place like home. It feels really refreshing to have you.
I am overwhelmed with work, my dear.
I know.
I have the media executive meeting now. I just took off the video, but it's on in one of your offices. And as you know, this week I was invited to participate. And it comes right smack in our topic for today, a vision for the nation.
A vision.
And more so, a vision for a plural society.
Yeah.
Because it's different when it's monocultural, but when it's plural, then you have to take everybody on board.
Correct.
Their culture, their language, their dress, their aspirations.
So true.
And it is more difficult to have shared values in a plural society than in a society that's homogeneous, you know.
Yeah.
It takes more effort. And I think sometimes it's the effort we run away from. And we kind of think that it's impossible. But we make it impossible by running away from developing, from sharing, like a strategic plan for the nation, where we have to go. And I was telling you off camera that this initiative in San Fernando, Mushtaq Mohammed, who is an Islamic follower, devotee, is who invited me. When I went down there to the Banson and Harris Promenade, I met who it appears to me is the leader, Pundit Maraj. And so the media carried it because my presentation after Pundit Maraj spoke was that a diverse society should be seen as a strength.
Correct.
And never a weakness.
Correct.
But that depends on if our perceptions relate to every group, whether it's ethnic or religious or class, having something to offer. If you feel only your group has something to offer, and therefore your group must rule, and therefore your group mustn't share power, and therefore your group must respect the other groups, and you mustn't build bridges, all right? And then you have a problem. So I want to start off by saying that program where you have different religious groups and classes participating, and it is a small group, but it will mushroom, because what I see there is a heart for the nation. So to have a vision for the nation, you must have a heart for the nation. It must be fake patriotism, where you're preaching unity on one hand, but you're dividing like crazy.
Yeah.
It mustn't be like that. Then we have to look at all the demographic group, all the demographics. We have to look at the age ranges, where you are in terms of that. Are you meeting the needs? It is said that a nation that takes care of the youngest and the oldest is a nation that is destined to succeed. How you treat the very young, how you treat the very old, that nation is destined to succeed. So do we have respect as a nation? I just read in one of the newspapers, they were saying that the politics is so divisive that it's difficult to pull the society together. Well, if we depend on the politicians to bring us together, we will never come together.
We'll never come together.
I want to say that. We would never come together. So we have to have what I call, Sister Zelisa, a goal in our soul.
Oh, I love that.
A goal in
your
our
soul.
In our heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is where. And the nation is desperately in need of a new start, you know. A new start. A new start in how we think, how we treat each other, how we appreciate each other. I always say, you could vote for a party, but that don't mean you have to hate the other party, you know.
No.
I have said that over and over. That is important, so that a vision for the nation demands a thorough analysis of where the nation is. Where is it politically? Where is it economically? Where is it, you know, business-wise? Where is it in terms of any attempt at all to bring people together without having a selfish agenda? We could launch a big program to bring people together, but in the end, we want to dominate that process.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have to remove that from the table, where we think, well, you know, we have to lead it, we bring people together. And since we're the one bringing people together, we have to lead that organization. And I'm saying that is the first step in failure, thinking you must have the power over those you mobilize and bring together. We could say this ad infinitum, but we must place the nation first. All right, the nation. What is good for the nation must be good for us. Not what is good for us must be good for the nation, you know. But what is good for the nation should be good for us.
That is important, that you've just said. I'd like my assistant to kindly bring me my phone, please. I think I left it in my office, and I need to get the phone for guidance with the time and countdown and things like that. So if I could get my assistant to kindly bring me my phone, I'll appreciate that very much. I'm in conversation with Pastor Dr. Clive Doughton. And today, Pastor is talking to us about the importance of a vision, especially for our nation, a vision for our nation. Extremely important that we understand. If we don't, and even if we don't have a vision within our own selves, in our own life, in our own family, how can we have a vision for our nation?
Well, Pandit Maharaj spoke to the issue of we have short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And long-term, well, I would like to say all the terms, we should start to talk about the family, but he's right, it will take us the long term, perhaps a 5 to 10 year program to really focus on rebuilding the family. Because the building block for a nation is that family, you know.
It is.
That God designed, however you call him, Allah, Krishna, however you call him. The building block is the family. And therefore you cannot ignore, all right, you cannot ignore the cries of the family. And where we are, look at the issue of abuse of children. That requires a national integrated effort.
Yeah.
Once we're talking about a plural society, we're talking about integration of the various ethnic groups, for example.
You're very correct.
Various religious groups. We have to see that. And we have to value everyone as if they belong to our church, as if they belong to our grouping, whether it's economic class or what have you there. We have to have that perspective. That is the word I'm searching for. Perspective to pull people together to relate to a common need. And I feel it's the issue of, you know, community by community. That is exactly where we have to go. You know, and I thank God for that. And I praise the Lord that we have this, you know, we are talking to this issue of this vision this morning.
Right.
That the good master is calling us to love each other. And by the way, you can't have a vision for the community or for the nation without, you know, the vision must start with our loving ourselves and each other.
Yeah.
That issue of unconditional love. I find there's so much revenge in this society.
Well, I find that apart from revenge, there's a lot of hate, animosity, even in sibling, in family rivalry, and that's where it is. A lot of fraction, you know, it's sad. And I also see things, and you commented on it. I paid quite particular when you were hitting the news
Yes.
with regards to things in a very barbaric way. People are no longer just shooting you. Now they're shooting you, tying you up and burning you, you know, in such barbaric ways.
When I heard that, I was shocked. Yeah, and I made a remark to this, so that I don't care what he was guilty of or what he was not guilty of.
Yeah.
But obviously, that kind of killing is like the mafia sending a message.
It's terrible.
Don't cross our pathway.
Yeah, and again, what it's doing is taking the law into your own hands. You can't, you shouldn't. And you're correct, it doesn't matter. We don't want to know what you did, or, you know, you follow that what you give is what you get. Yeah. But the point is, you know, don't take the law into your hands.
When you paralyze, when you ignore, when you destroy the rule of law in a society, and they're the politicians, those who operate the media, the airwaves, and dominate the society in terms of news, etc., you have got to be so careful. Because both the two parties in parliament must realize we're in a major crisis. Whoever caused whatever the triggers, whatever, but we're in a major crisis, and therefore, you don't want to be sounding hooliganistic when hooliganism is already a problem in the society.
Exactly.
What goes on there is that you are affirming what is operational in the society, and therefore you cannot go in that direction. You have the raping of the 87-year-old in Maruga.
My God.
I mean, what could be worse than that?
An 87-year-old?
You torture her and you rape her.
What is that, man?
Well, I thank God that some were held. I hope they're the right people there, but it speaks to the issue of the rape of the soul of the nation. That is what is happening. So people don't feel anymore. And I heard Minister Hines talk about the issue of and Roger Alexander spoke to the issue of the Latin American influence in terms of drug dealing and what have you there. But I always say we have our own local, homegrown bunch of terrorists in the society. You know, I brought a book here, and it says drug, all right? Drug wars, corruption, counterinsurgency, and corrupt covert operations in the third world. Now, whether we could jump high, we could jump low. But we have had a corruption of what you call state machineries in several metropolitan countries, you know, the CIA, for example, the DA. We talk about corruption here. But in major crime-fighting institutions in the developed world, we have had a whole lot of corruption, and sometimes it's politically inspired corruption. In other words, we think to solve a problem, we have to use a problem to solve a problem. And that brings me to the issue of extrajudicial killings. I think where we are in the society, we are tempted, all right, in order to solve a problem that create a bigger problem. I, for one, do not believe in extrajudicial killings. Because what you have in extrajudicial killings, you have the underground killing of targets that you feel are corrupt or are part of the crime fiasco we have in this society. But you know, when you give people permission to do that, they could take out your own enemies. That are not enemies in the state, but they are their personal enemies. And so you've got to watch that. So I don't agree with it at all. Anytime, you know.
What do you suggest then?
Well, I'll come into that. William Butler Yeats says in his laudable poem, Things Fall Apart, he says the ceremony of innocence is drowned. Anytime you use crookedness to fight crookedness, and you tell people, well, we want to save the nation, so you have to break the law to save the nation. I am saying go with integrity, for example.
I want you to hold that thought. We need to go to a break.
Yes.
When we return, we continue our conversation with Pastor Dr. Clive Doughton. Stay with us.
Are unique place to visit for all Mother's Day shopping. The Mid-Center Mall Flea Market at the air-conditioned dome is now open until May 30th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Big bargains, local and international exhibitors, safe and secured parking. Air-conditioned dome Mid-Center Mall Flea Market opens 7 days a week until May 30th.
We've got great news! New containers just arrived. Fab India Expo is now extended until May 30th. Shop for Mother's Day and Indian Arrival Day. Be sure to check our Indian food court and arcade. We've got a wide range of antique, modern, Italian and Malaysian furniture available. You can also check us out for fashionable Bollywood style garments. All at Fab India Expo, opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Super quality supermarket, best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide: Couva Car Park, Couva, 98 Endeavour Road, Shogunas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trincity. Super Quality Supermarket.
Welcome to OATS, Optimal Alternative Treatment Solutions Limited, the future of healthcare, which provides full body scans, which we detect and treat cancer, tumors, all heart conditions, cysts, fibroids, dementia, Parkinson's, just to name a few. No radiation and medication is not needed. If you are tired of getting no results, call us at 354-4459 or 356-7226.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa. I'm in conversation with Pastor Dr. Clive Doughton. Today he's talking to us about a vision for this nation. Welcome back. And I want you to go back to the point that you were going to elaborate on.
I'm going to elaborate that you have to use honest methods, all right, to achieve an honest outcome. So that therefore, if you want at this time, we know our nation is in a deep hole now, a deep crisis.
Yeah.
You don't want to use unrighteousness or wickedness to attempt to deal, for example, with the current problem or the thing. For example, let me mention integrity. People think twice about calling the police now in terms of criminal activity or sharing information. That's why we have Crime Stoppers, because they're promising you over and over. But you see, Crime Stoppers solves that part of the problem, so you could remain anonymous. But it doesn't stop the criminal leadership, the mafiatic leadership, from figuring out, well, you know, who knows what I am doing? And then they themselves target people who may be the wrong people that shared information with the police. So, you know, we have to tell the population, do not make yourself soft targets, all right? You must know exactly what you are doing. So that is number one. Number two, in the medium to long term, as we seek to rebuild a nation that is falling apart at record-breaking speed, we have to look at purging, all right? Sorry to say it, our security institutions. We have had prison officers being arrested, police being arrested, soldiers being arrested, and that takes a humongous amount of courage to do that. Because you see, these are armed groups.
Yeah.
And I tell people that when you fight in the drug trade, once you can't allow, and then I hear people talking about go after the criminals, but who they mean is the blue-collar criminals. We have to go after the white-collar criminals too. And I say that political parties could start the ball rolling by not accepting funding from them. Let me tell you something. You see election coming up, local government election.
That's a bold thing that you've just
Those
said.
fellas will come out of their lattice work and offer parties money. And you must be strong enough to say no.
No.
And if you have a political functionary in your group, in the upper echelon of your group, you don't want them to stay there. In other words, long before we talk about police intervention and security intervention, you, in your corner, in the church, pastors, priests, pundits must not accept money from known or not so well-known drug lords.
Yes,
so we come to the issue of religion.
Because they're part of it as well. From the moment you accept that money, it means you're encouraging that.
You're
part of it.
affirming.
And say, well, it's okay, I endorse what you're doing. You
And I
support
want to
them.
tell the media,
Yeah.
you must have the strength to resist the advertising dollar from known corrupt people. What if you don't know, you don't know. But at the
If
same
you
time,
want, the moment you are aware and you accept it. Can I share something that
Yes,
happened
go
this
ahead.
week? One of my employees, I'm sure he's listening and looking right now, went to buy lunch. When he came back with his lunch, he was like all powered up. And I said, how are you so happy? You're like, what you bought to eat? He said, well, I bought what I bought to eat, but you know what, there's a girl in there that liked me real much. That girl real liked me. She have a crush on me. So she gave me an extra piece of chicken. So I said, is that so? He said, yeah, Miss Z, the girl real liked me. I said, do you realize what you just did? He said, no, I get a piece of chicken because she liked me. I said, what you just did was allow her to steal from her employers. And if every time you go in there, others that she may like or favor, she give them an extra piece of
business
something,
done.
you just rob that company of their profits. You encourage her to steal.
What did he say?
And he said, well, Missy, you know, I didn't think of it that way.
Yes, and
I said,
most
well,
people-
now you know, now you are aware, and don't ever do it.
Well, I think you give him excellent advice. And that kind of reasoning and dialogue is what is required to move the nation, as simple as you say it there. Because you're talking to the issue of morality and spirituality from an authentic standpoint. And that is where we have to, I don't find in our society, we engage our young people enough. Like if we're talking about a vision for the nation, we should have conferences and seminars and, you know, talking points all over the nation, meeting with the young people, going in the schools, listening to what the young people have to say. A vision for the nation must be something shared, all right? Must be something shared.
Last week, Mr. Darren Carmichael, who is a director at Crime Stoppers, he said something very interesting, very casually. He said it on the program, and I endorsed what he said. And he said it is important that when you say no to someone, or anyone in particular, you always give a reason why. Always say why, because these are the consequences to your choices
Sure.
and your actions.
Well, I buy into
And
that.
you now talking about getting into the schools, getting into institutions, and being able to give explanations. Don't just say don't do it. Say why you should not do it, because sometimes people are just ignorant to the fact that I don't know, I didn't think of this, or I don't understand. Don't just tell me no, explain. So it's important that exactly what you just said. Yes, we go into the schools, we go into the relevant institutions, you know, we continue to teach, we continue, but it is important to say, why don't?
Exactly. And I believe the time has come in this country for what I call a united, integrated approach to national service for young people. We are patriotism bankrupt. All right, that is as simple as it is.
Yeah.
What is happening is that people no longer think of, you know, it's like a time-worn cliche, put the country first. But that's exactly what we have to tell people, all right? And there's so much, apart from greed and revenge and hatred, you have this element of selfishness that is
So
hurling
true.
us down into hell, pardon my saying it. It is hurling us down into hell. And that has got to be addressed. For example, very simply put, all right, national service is a corporate thing. The state must initiate that. And we have a Ministry of Youth and National Service. When last I checked, the minister is Foster Cummings. But that is at the macro level. At the micro level in our communities, can we help the neighbor with her son or her daughter? Can we offer some assistance to the neighbor on the left of us who does not have anything to eat, and we could afford to at least help one family?
Correct.
So you see, you have the micro and you have the macro. What you want to do is that with a shared vision of unconditional love, a shared vision of what we call in the Christian world the Good Samaritan model, where we look out for the wounded, the outcast, the one of Christ's greatest miracles was the woman at the well. She was a prostitute. And that same day, her life was so transformed after an encounter and a dialogue with Christ that she became the major missionary. I mean, she was able to say, look, I was a certain way, but after my spiritual encounter, I am now changed, and I am promoting this change because I am now changed.
But you know, these are the sort of people we need to applaud because they stand up for what is right and they live change. They apply it to their lives and they live it.
And that's why it is said, we must be the change we want to see in others.
Yes.
We must be the change that we want to see in others.
Certainly.
And that is important. And in case we have some young people listening, you know, young people, there are too many young girls and guys, ZELIS, are missing. And you know, after they are found, no explanation.
No explanation.
That does not help us to build a vision for the nation.
No.
I see young girls at 13 and 14 and 15 missing for 3 days, missing for 4 days, missing for 5 days. And I want to say, if you know where the child is, you are duty bound to play a role in helping the parents assuage their grief, their worry, their depression. Because you have a 12-year-old daughter and the child missing for 4 or 5 days. A number of things you wonder, has she run off with a guy?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
is she safe where she
go
is?
through your brains, of course.
Is it a relative that took her?
Yeah.
What is happening in the house?
All these questions are spiraling, yeah? You're correct.
So that I want to appeal to young people to be honest with yourself. You know, have a concern for your parents. Don't think your parents are made out of steel or rubber, all right, or aluminum. Come on. You must have a concern for your parents because you will grow up and you will be a parent one day.
Correct.
And what goes around comes around. That is a very famous
true.
statement.
Yeah, yeah.
So that I want to, and then parents, I want to appeal to you. It's amazing. I spoke on Tuesday about the issue of some parents encouraging their children in wrongdoing because they benefit financially.
Yeah.
That, I think, is a major Mount Everest in our nation. And parents, don't take blood money from your child. Don't sell your daughter because you might say, I don't know what's going on, you're just being nice and kind. When you very well know that your child is being compromised by that older guy who is claiming to love the family and concerned about the family having enough to eat and enough to survive on. That is just so wrong. It is better you go through the pain of hunger, all right, in the present than to have massive heartache in the future. It just does not make sense. And I want to appeal to the nation at this time. Let us be honest with each other. Let us be honest with ourselves. Let us promote respect and dignity, all right, and forgiveness in the home. Let us understand that God desires of us that we move forward. And by the way, let us not use prayer in a fake manner, lacking genuineness. We must only think of prayer in the country when our backs against the wall. You know, I was saying to a group this morning, you must pray before the crisis, during the crisis, and after the crisis. And one big thing the country needs to pray about is a will to do what is right, and for courage to address the challenges of the nation and to help those, honestly help those who are in need.
Will, courage, help. And they're strong words, but so very true. What a message this morning. And I always say, and I will continue to say, if you are aware of something that is negative, something that is wrong, abuse, violence, stealing, killing, if you are aware of it and you do nothing, you don't have the will, you don't have the power, as Pastor just said, to do something about it, you're just as guilty.
Sure, that is a fact.
You're just as guilty.
Of course.
You're just as guilty. So if you know something and you can't correct it or fix it or get help for it, you're just as guilty. It should be on your conscience and a heavy burden that you carry. Pastor, your closing comments.
My closing comments, and I want to say to all of you out there is, let us perceive and then work for a united nation. A vision for a nation must be a vision to unite all of our people, to share our resources, to engage in true nation building. And we have to think about our youth. They are going down a road that is a road to hell. And all of us must play a substantial role in bringing them back from the brink. All right? Too many of our youth growing up in loveless and godless homes. I always say this. And therefore, we have to show them love in the home. Parents, you have to be role models and icons of forgiveness. All right? Of respect, of dignity, of morality, of spirituality in the home.
Powerful words to part us with. I thank you kindly. We look forward to you joining us very soon. I know you've got a lot going on. So we continue to partner with you to continue to share the message of positivity and, of course, making a difference. Living a life that you feel proud of whom you are, the decisions that you make. And the decisions you make, the choices you make today will certainly determine your tomorrow. Yeah?
Sure.
Thank you, Pastor.
God bless you.
You as well. Do continue to stay with us when we return in conversation with Dr. Nicholas Miraj. He's going to be talking to us about identifying and treatment for strokes when we return. Stay with us.
Good day. I am Senior Superintendent of Police Michael Peer.
Hi, I am Sajina Kadir, attorney at law.
Today we are here to remind you of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Community Justice Clinic.
The Community Justice Clinic is a collaborative initiative between the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and a growing team of attorneys to provide confidential and free legal advice as it relates to private and civil matters, including matrimonial grievances, domestic violence, access, custody, maintenance, land, estate, and any non-criminal matters.
On the last Saturday of every month, the Community Justice Clinic goes to 2 communities to provide this service between the hours of 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. This Saturday, 27th of May, we will be at the Mount Hope, Mount Lambert Community Center located at Community Drive, Mount Hope, and at the Pinto Road Community Center located at Pinto Road, Arima.
No registration is required. Any member of the public can attend any location. For further information on our locations every month, please contact 480-1421. Take advantage of the free service being offered.
Hello everyone, this is fitness expert Aloy Johnson, aka RJ. I am located at 92 East Drive in Champlain. What I do is take care of any chronic disease, any type of chronic diseases. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you to make proper conversion so you can be the healthiest as you can possibly be. Call today for a free consultation, 736-3962 or 278-5102. See you there.
Visit Agri Savers Limited, number 19 Orange Grove Trace, St. Augustine, for all your agriculture, livestock, pet, agri-equipment, hydroponics, cannabis, fishing tackle supplies, and much more. Open Monday to Friday 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Contact 473-6074, 663-1094. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Tile Expression Limited, the #1 leader in tiles. Large stock, unbeatable prices, wide variety of porcelain tiles, ceramic tiles, wall and floor tiles, residential and commercial, granite and quartz countertops. Best quality from Spain, Italy, Brazil, India and China. Tile Expression Limited, conveniently located Monroe Road, Kunapir. Telephone 693-0015 or 223-TILE. Passage to Asia, the award-winning restaurant and banquet suite located in the heart of Chaguanas, the best fusion food restaurant in Trinidad and Tobago. From the second you enter to the moment you leave, you will be treated like royalty. Come dine in luxury and enjoy the finest combination of Asian cuisine prepared by skilled and qualified chefs at Passage to Asia. The experience is truly unforgettable, perfect for families, couples, and large groups. Passage to Asia, located at St. Ives Street, Chaguanas. Contact 672-2701. Also, visit us on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa. And I'm very pleased to introduce my next guest. It's a gentleman I have a great respect and admiration for. He has a strength in healing and helping people. I've had the privilege of having an interview with him before when we were at Woodbrook, in the studio, when I would broadcast out of. Now we have our own studios, ZMB Communications. Let's say good morning and a very warm welcome to no other than Dr. Nicholas Maraj. And he specializes in neurology. He was at in Calgary, yeah?
That's correct.
Doc, welcome.
A pleasure to be here, Zelisa.
I just want to backtrack a little bit, take a little time, because I think it is important that our viewers and our listeners know and understand your strength. So let's just go back to your strength, in terms of your studies.
Right.
Give us a little insight into who we're going to have a conversation with.
All right, so I spent 5 years in medical school here in Trinidad in St. Augustine, UE. Then I spent a couple of years specializing in internal medicine down here through the Royal College of Physicians. Then I spent 2 years in Calgary doing neurology and stroke neurology specifically. I've been back in Trinidad since 2018, trying to do my best.
And you're going non-stop. And I said to him, Doc, because you're at many of the major, tell us where you're at. You practice out of
Mount Hope, St. Augustine Private, Southern Medical, West Shore, and St. Clair.
And look at him, handsome as ever, full of energy. He has that aura. And Doc, I think it's extremely important that we talk and have a conversation about strokes, because time in the past, you would find that older people, you're seeing more older people, but they will get a stroke. But now we're seeing people in their 20s, their 30s.
It's very
So today you're going to first talk to us about identifying and the symptoms,
right.
And then we're going to talk about treatment solutions.
No problem.
Yeah?
So what's a stroke exactly? Just talk a bit about that.
Right.
A stroke are the signs and symptoms experienced by a patient due to a reduction in blood flow to a specific part of the brain.
Okay.
The brain is the mastermind for the entire body.
Right.
The front part of the brain controls motion. It has sent signals down the spinal cord to the muscles to make the muscles move, to make us walk, to make us swallow, to make our eyes move. The brain also receives signals from the outside world, from our vision, from hearing, from taste, from touch.
Right.
It sends those signals up the spinal cord to the middle part of the brain that interprets our sensation environment.
Right.
So if there's a reduction in blood flow in any particular area of the brain, we experience the symptoms proportional to that area.
Right.
So reduction in blood flow to the right frontal part of the brain will give us motor trouble on the left side of our body. The left sensory part of our brain could give us sensation trouble on the right-hand side of the body.
Okay.
So the blood flow to the brain can be disrupted by two major things. Either blockage of the pipes carrying blood up into the brain or rupture of the pipes carrying blood up into the brain.
What causes that?
Many different factors can cause each of the underlying things. So let's take the blockages part first. Blockages in the brain are called ischemic strokes, and they are about 75 to 80% of all strokes. The biggest things that cause those is things that caused similar to clogged arteries in the heart. So it's clogged arteries in the pipes, clogged arteries in the pipes here.
Okay.
It's all typical lifestyle diseases. high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, smoking, heart disease.
Heart disease.
Yeah.
And these are not, what you've just explained to us is nothing that's alien or we haven't heard. We are aware, I'm sure, that each one of you listening, looking, can identify somebody in your home, somebody in your family with either one of those complications.
Much more than one, because the prevalence of these diseases are very, very, very high. I think there was I think in the papers yesterday it stated that Trinidad is in the top 10 countries in the world for childhood obesity as well. So it's a problem that's not just here now, it's going to be here for a prolonged period of time if we don't fix the things that we need to fix.
If we don't fix it, we don't get to the problem and find a solution. And very often the problem is not a big problem, and it's the choices that we make.
And adjusting those choices, it sounds easy, but it's a lot more difficult
because
than
it's
it
part
really
of the
is.
culture of what we eat, how our lifestyle, things like that, how we socialize.
Exactly.
You know, it's all part of who we are.
I mean, I was living in Canada and I miss Trinidadian food all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
The food tastes great, it's full of salt. Everybody misses KFC when they're away. But I mean, these are the things that make us the unhealthy people that we are and give us these risks of having strokes, heart attacks, all these other conditions.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit now about how do we then identify, listen, something is not right, and the possibility is I could be getting a stroke. These are the warning signs. Talk to us.
There's a really good acronym developed called FAST, so it's F-A-S-T.
Right.
F stands for face. If you see somebody having facial weakness, you ask them to smile or to skin their teeth.
Okay.
So you ask the patient to smile, skin their teeth.
Right.
Usually what happens, people could have a nice big bright smile,
Right.
but when somebody's having a stroke, one side of the face becomes a bit weaker. So they may be able to smile on one side and the other side becomes a bit paralyzed.
Right.
That's F, fast, face. Tell them to smile, see if they have any facial weakness. A stands for arm weakness. So you ask the person to put their two arms out in front of you.
Right.
If you notice weakness of one side of the hand, or if the patient can't lift their hand up at all, or if they try to put their hands and the one hand is drifting downwards, that's an indication that that side is weak compared
They
to
have
the
no
other side.
control.
Correct.
Okay, understood.
F-A-S. S stands for speech. So you ask the person to repeat a sentence. For example, the day of the week, today is Wednesday. So you ask the person to repeat that, and if they're having trouble either slurring with their speech or unable to understand what you said or unable to make any speech whatsoever, if they either have F, A, or S, it's time to call 811 in Trinidad and get them to the nearest emergency facility that you can.
Immediately.
Immediately. Don't stay at home. Don't wait for it to pass, because with a stroke we have 4.5 hours in order to be able to act from the onset of the stroke to be able to give life-changing medication that could prevent them from becoming paralyzed.
That's excellent, because you to the extreme is being paralyzed, and then reversing that, it's very difficult.
It's difficult, but it's one of the most gratifying things you could do as a physician to help prevent somebody from becoming permanently disabled and losing their independence.
Right.
Keeping that for themselves and being able to deliver that life-changing medication. But we need to have buy-in from the patients as well to get them to hospital, to get the scan at the appropriate amount of time. So they need to be able to learn to identify the signs and act on the signs appropriately.
Immediately. So the key thing is, once you've identified and you realize something is not right, you paid attention to what Doc just told us, nearest hospital, emergency, immediately. And as you said, you've got a 4.5, so they've got to work on that immediately as well.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa. I was just telling Doc, even though he'd spent some time and years in Calgary, you know, we do broadcast out of the Caribbean Showtime television in Canada, so our viewership is humongous in Canada as well. So I'm sure lots of your friends are seeing you. I'm very proud of you. We're going to take a short break at this time. When we return, we continue our conversation with Dr. Nicholas Murad, neurologist, and he's going to address treatment for stroke victims when we return. Stay with us.
unique place to visit for all Mother's Day shopping. The Mid-Center Mall Flea Market at the air-conditioned dome is now open until May 30th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Big bargains, local and international exhibitors, safe and secured parking. Air-conditioned dome Mid-Center Mall Flea Market opens 7 days a week until May 30th.
We've got great news! New containers just arrived. Fab India Expo is now extended until May 30th. Shop for Mother's Day and Indian Arrival Day. Be sure to check our Indian food court and arcade. We've got a wide range of antique, modern, Italian and Malaysian furniture available. You can also check us out for fashionable Bollywood style garments. All at Fab India Expo, opposite Medford Gas Station, Shogunas. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide: Couva Car Park, Couva, 98 Endeavour Road, Shogunas, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trincity. Super Quality Supermarket.
Before you choose a life of crime, know that the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are fed up of you. More than 22,000 have already provided anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers, leading to countless arrests and convictions. You will never know who they are, but with Crime Stoppers' anonymous tipster system, everyone will soon know you. Call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 800 TIPS today.
Who've been affected by a stroke victims. Of course, he indicated to us identifying and what we should do, and now we are going to go to treatment. Yeah?
Right. So the most important thing, as we said before, is to identify the symptoms of a stroke.
Right.
Once we've identified that, we get the patient to a tertiary hospital, not a health center or any of those things, because we need to get a picture of the brain.
And immediately, so you're not going to a health center. You heard what the doctor said. The important thing is
to go to one of the tertiary centers. So
right.
One of the private hospitals that can do a CT scan, or one of the public hospitals. Sangre Grande, Arima, Eric Williams, Port of Spain, Sando, Point Fortin, Tobago, Roxborough when it comes on board, or any of the private hospitals. Go to the emergency department there. What they're supposed to do is supposed to take a picture of the brain. The picture of the brain helps us identify whether it's a clot in the brain stroke or bleeding in the brain stroke. Now, 1 out of 5 strokes is the bleeding in the brain strokes. We really can't do great amounts there, but there's certain things you could do. So we just hold that one in the corner for now. But the clot in the brain strokes, which are the more common ones, we can do a lot if we're within the time window.
Now, Doc, you talk about a time window, and you talk about, you gave us an idea of 4.5 hours or so.
Right.
But I'm being an advocate here for my listeners and my viewers. We are aware that sometimes you go to the emergency because you're in a simple thing as a tummy pain or pain or, you know, whatever. And we've had citizens wait 12 and 15 hours a day, 2 hours, waiting in the waiting area to be attended to.
It's tragic.
So let's be real, let's be honest. What really, I mean, there are people who may not have another option,
right.
But what are the other options? In fairness to those
who, so okay, besides the public hospitals, there's the private hospitals as well. They have the options of doing a scan fairly quickly.
Which would be that they've got the facility
right.
to do that immediately. Great.
Yeah. There's always the cost associated with that, which can vary depending on different hospitals.
Right. But Doc, there's also the cost that after you've had the stroke, the thousands and thousands of dollars you've got to fix it. So my point is prevention is better than cure. You may as well find that cost somewhere, put it away for rainy days in case, you understand what I'm saying, so that you have things in place to prevent further damage.
Correct.
Yeah? Okay.
So conversations are being had on both sides, on the public as well as the
Correct.
private facilities, to try and engage a better triage system, a early warning system for those patients who might be having a higher risk of having a stroke,
Right.
and getting a pathway for them. It's not really in its infancy, but it's coming along.
Okay.
The different stakeholders involved in that. In certainly private hospitals, they have a bit more streamlined protocols for those to be established.
Okay.
So we have a better time window there for those patients.
Brilliant.
So you have 4.5 hours to know that if you identify that the patient has a clot in the brain stroke, you can give them a special type of medication called a clot buster that breaks up the clot that's up inside of the brain.
So that's an injection that you should get.
Yeah.
That would break up the clot. That will help.
That would stop the clot from being there, preventing the blood from flowing to the area of the brain in question, and hence depriving that area of the brain from blood.
Would you allow me to take calls at this time?
Sure.
So any one of you, if you may have any questions, any concerns about a stroke, or you are a victim, when I say, you're a patient and you're trying to recuperate and you need some sort of advice, please feel free to give us a call at 3847142, 3847142. Doc here is the specialist. He's a neurologist. This is his strength, and I bring in the best of the best to help our viewers and our listeners. 3847142. Please, when you call, remember to take the volume down on your television or your radio, then call, speak into your phone, and not listen to, let's go straight to the phone. Good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Zelisa, thank you for always trying to find solutions for something, some topic, different areas of life.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I want to say something.
Please
My
do.
mother had a stroke,
Yeah.
and she waited about 8 hours. They gave her no clot buster. They were not careful. They didn't show compassion. And you know what? I don't know how somebody, an average person, is going to afford the services of a private hospital. The prices, the cost, the profit margins for the hospital is so high that they don't care to reduce these profit margins to accommodate the average person. So the average person cannot have an option. And you know what happened? My mother, they said nothing can be done. She has the stroke already. She has to wait at Mount Hope.
Wow.
And the next thing is this: when she was allocated a bed, the young doctors that came in with the senior doctor who's training them, these people count the people's head like sheep. Because they said this person should not stay in this bed for such a time,
right,
or a long time, because they need to give somebody else the bed.
Yeah.
Right? So when I saw the lack of compassion, this is about how much money a doctor can earn instead of valuing the life of a human being. Right? So healthcare is not really what they say it is. It's a service that they get paid for, and that's all that matters. So my experience is not what is interpreted, and that young man is not responsible. It's a system.
Certainly not.
That
They go out there and they do their job the best way they know how to. Lack of equipment, lack of staff to support, things like that. It's a fact.
But they should stop twinning these medical practitioners with their private practice, because they do not provide an alternative that is affordable. They provide a service to make them wealthy. That's a big difference.
Point taken. And how is your mom doing, however? How is she doing now?
Well, they condemned her, and I gave her some natural juices, and she came back for a while. And we at the place there, they said, call your spiritual advisor, because she's going to die this afternoon.
Oh, no.
And when I when I started to give her the natural juices, because they were giving her milk, which was causing a respiratory problem. How can you, and she didn't go in there with it, she contracted it there. How can you give somebody with a respiratory problem milk? It's a mucus forming agent that will definitely,
I understand.
you know. So when I saw where we gave her natural juices and she came back.
Right.
You see?
Well, I wish her a speedy
fine.
recovery, and I thank you for calling in and sharing your personal story. And you be strong. God bless you, and thanks for your contribution this morning. All the best. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thanks so much, sir.
Just as I said, there are people who can afford and people who simply cannot afford. What happens to those?
Systems need to be redesigned for a more
Correct.
efficient type of system.
And you're very correct. It's not about you or the other doctors. It's
systematic.
Exactly what you're being given to deal with and to cope with, and you try your very best. 3847142. Morning, I'm watching your show. I have a stroke on my right side. My body feels tight. I went to a private doctor. He gave me tablets. I walk and talk, but I have to do a lot of massages. Yeah? That's just somebody. Can you do the... Okay, I'm not going to call the name of any medication. Good morning and welcome. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, you and the doctor.
Right, good morning. What's your question, please?
I'm 61 years old.
Yeah.
And I had a stroke 9 months now.
Okay.
I went to Government Medical, and all I was given was some tablets for my pressure. I went and I took a head scan.
Yeah.
And I started with my next doctor, who will say was good for stroke by taking an injection once a week. I did it for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
No difference.
All right. I want to thank you, and I'm getting a feedback, and I want you now, you and all the others who are listening on radio, who are looking, Doc, because of the goodness of his heart and the nature for what he does, he has, he's going to share his number for those of you who may need advice, who may need help, so they could guide you, and give you the advice that you need, because our time is so limited. So you could either call or send a WhatsApp message to this number, 367-9368. That's 367-9368. And of course, it's Dr. Nicholas Mirage. He's a neurologist. He's been doing this for many years, has international experience as well. And I just believe he has a love and passion for what he does. He specializes. So for those, I know we're getting a lot of messages and a lot of calls, but I am not the doctor here. I'm the executive producer and host of the show. The company belongs to me, ZMB Communications, but I have the authority here, and that's why I have special people like Doc and others that come in that are specialized in areas that can help us. So it's in conversation with Dr. Nicholas Mirage, neurologist. His telephone contact 367-9368. Call or leave a WhatsApp message. You understand he's very consumed. He's at how many hospitals, and and he's certainly going to try to reach out to address all the concerns you may have. Doc, your closing comments.
Stroke is much more common than we believe it is. 1 in 4 people in the world will have a stroke at some point in time.
Wow, Doc.
Extremely common. So the most important thing is to be able to identify what are the underlying symptoms that could be happening.
Yeah.
F-A-S-T, F-face, tell them to smile, A-arm, S-speech, T time to call 811, get them to emergency services, get a picture of the brain. It's a clotting brain stroke. Try to do something for it.
Get help immediately. Doc, I see the need to get you a little more on the show, because the phone is just, it's going off and off, and a lot of messages are also coming in. So I'm going to put you on the spot and try to get you a little more often, so that we could reach out, help and transform lives.
I'm here to dispose of.
Thank you. God bless you. Continue to do what you do. May that light always be in your path. and bless those hands and the knowledge open, you know, because the fact is we do need help. We have a nation that is bleeding in terms of health. The system is very poor. We're not going to hide it or put it on the rug or the back burner, and people do need help. Again, Dr. Maraj's number is 367-9368, 367-9368. Heartfelt and sincere thanks. We'll see you very soon.
Thank you very
This
much.
is where we've got to wrap things up for today. I want to thank you kindly for choosing us. We do have a repeat of the program today. Tell your friends, tell your family. Do continue to stay with us on U975 FM Multicultural Radio. And here's reminding you that with God, all things are possible. Respect the law of the land. Take care of your health. Your health is your wealth. I am Zelisa Budu Singh Rupani. Thank you so much for choosing us.